Hello and welcome to Skill Curve once again. So you're either a student trying to gain knowledge in macros or a business owner, maybe a superstore manager, and you're looking for some handy tips to speeden up your everyday work with huge volumes of data tables. Well, then let's not waste much time and get learning this incredibly handy tool of Excel, the macros. What is a macro and how does it work? If you have tasks in Microsoft Excel that you do repeatedly, you can record a macro to automate those tasks. A macro is an action or a set of actions that you can run as many times as you want. When you create a macro, you are recording your mouse clicks and keystrokes. Activating macros option. In order to start using macros in Excel, go to Files, Options, Customize ribbon. Check the Developer tab. Now let's go to our data where we want to use our macro. Recording macros and applying pre-saved macros in Excel. Let's suppose we work in a superstore sales department and this is our raw form of data that we get daily. In order to use it for reporting purpose, we need to format this data by adding, deleting some columns or applying some formulas. It would take a huge while if we do it manually every day. So here's how macro records our actions and does it automatically for us later, thus saving our time. Macro records each and every keystroke and actions and then replays it later. On the Developer tab, we find three options at the top: Visual Basic, Macro, and Record Macro. If you want to record a new macro, we would go to Record Macros. If we want to use a pre-recorded macro, then go to Macros and select from a list of your older saved macros. Recording a new macro in Excel. To record a new macro, click Record Macro and enter the name of your macro. Correctly naming macros. While naming my macro, I must be careful that macro should be named without spacing. So this is how I would name my macro. Let's also enter a little description here to remember what it actually does every time I want to use this macro. We can also enter an alphabet here as a shortcut key, but let's skip this for now. We can also select from these three options where to store our macro. I would save it to the same workbook. Now hit OK to start recording. The record icon on the top has changed and we can know that our actions are being recorded. Creating a new copy of sheet. So before working on my data, I would prefer not to mess with the original data. So let's click on the button tab here and choose Move or Copy. Click Create a Copy and here is the copied sheet. Applying text formatting. Now let's format the text slightly by selecting the data and applying Autofit column width. Delete columns. These columns are not required, so I will be deleting these from my sheet. Select the column and delete. Do this as much as you need. Change the number format. In this column here, I want to change the currency format. So let me select this column and change its format here. Applying a formula in macro. Now, at the end of this column, I would like to have a sum of all the amounts. So let me apply a sum formula. Changing text size and color. To increase the font size, select the entire table and increase the size. Select the header row and change its background color to blue and the text color to white. Make the text a bit bold and centered. We need to apply Autofit again since we changed the sizes here. Applying borders. Now select the entire macro and apply borders to it like this. Stop recording a macro. Now since my job is nearly done, I will go to the Developer tab again and click on this button to stop recording macro. Now my macro has been saved to this workbook. Testing. Now let's go back to the original raw data that we had. Go to Macros tab and select the recorded macro format _macro and hit run. You will see that our data has automatically been formatted the way we wanted it to. What if there is a mistake in recording a macro? If there had been a mistake while recording this macro, then I would have to edit this by making changes in the code through the Visual Basic tab. Otherwise, I would simply have to re-record the macro again. Saving and reusing. The best part of macros is that it can be reused once it has been created. In order to reuse it, what needs to be done first is to save the file. Any files containing macros must be saved as file type macros enabled workbook so that the macros are preserved for use again. Otherwise, we will end up losing our macro once the workbook is closed. Hope you found this tutorial useful and easy, and it gets you started with creating your own useful macros, saving your time. Stay tuned to our channel for more.